The Grand Hotel restaurant glowed with golden light from a dozen crystal chandeliers. White tablecloths draped perfectly over round tables where wealthy guests enjoyed their evening meals. The soft clink of silver against fine china created a gentle rhythm in the air. At table 7 sat two men in expensive suits. Richard Warren was a real estate developer known throughout the city for his sharp business deals and sharper tongue. His guest Michael Chen represented an investment firm from overseas. They were discussing a major property deal when their server approached. Her name was Natasha Bennett and she had worked at the hotel for 3 years. She moved between tables with quiet grace, carrying a wicker basket filled with roses. Red ones and white ones arranged in simple beauty. Her uniform was pressed and neat. A sage green blouse with a burgundy skirt. Her light brown hair was pulled back in a modest bun. There was something gentle in her eyes. Something that spoke of kindness. She stopped at table 7 with a small smile. "Good evening, gentlemen. Would either of you care to purchase a rose this evening? They're fresh from the market this morning." Richard barely glanced up. He was the type of man who measured everything by its price tag and everyone by their bank account. "How much?" he asked in a tone that suggested he wasn't really interested. $10 each, sir," Natasha replied softly. Richard leaned back in his chair. A smirk spread across his face. He looked at Michael and then back at Natasha. $10. That's it. His voice grew louder. Loud enough that nearby tables began to turn their heads. "Tell you what, sweetheart. Sell me those roses in Arabic and I'll pay you $100,000. He said it like a joke. Like a challenge meant to embarrass. Michael shifted uncomfortably in his seat but said nothing. Natasha stood very still. The basket of roses remained steady in her hands. For a moment she simply looked at Richard with those kind eyes. Not with anger. Not with shame. Just a quiet understanding of who he was and what he was trying to do. Then she spoke. The words that came from her lips were fluid and beautiful. Arabic phrases rolled out with perfect pronunciation and natural rhythm. She described each rose, its color and fragrance. She spoke of how they were grown with care and cut at dawn when the petals held morning dew. She told him that roses have been symbols of love and respect for thousands of years across many cultures. That they remind us of beauty in a world that can sometimes be harsh. That a single flower given with genuine feeling means more than all the gold in any vault. Her voice was gentle but confident. Each word carefully chosen. Each sentence a small gift of knowledge and grace. The restaurant had gone quiet. Other diners stopped eating. Waiters paused mid-step. Everyone was listening. Richard's face had changed. The smirk vanished. His mouth opened slightly, then closed. His confident posture crumbled and he sat forward with his elbows on the table staring at Natasha as if seeing her for the first time. Michael looked equally stunned. When Natasha finished speaking she smiled again. That same gentle smile. "Will that be one rose or the whole basket, sir?" Richard couldn't speak. He just stared. Finally he found his voice. It came out much quieter than before. How do you know Arabic?" Natasha set the basket on their table. "I lived in Jordan for 7 years, she said simply. My late husband David was a teacher there. We worked at a small school in Amman. He taught English. I helped with administration and learned Arabic from our students and neighbors. They became like family to us." She paused and her eyes grew distant with memory. "David passed away 4 years ago. Cancer. We came back to the States for his treatment but he didn't make it. I stayed here to be near his family. I work 3 jobs now to support my mother who has Alzheimer's. The hotel during evenings. A bakery in the mornings. And I clean offices on weekends." The basket of roses sat between them. Each bloom perfect and alive. Richard looked down at his hands. His expensive watch gleamed in the chandelier light. His gold cufflinks caught reflections. Suddenly these things felt heavy. Meaningless. "I apologize," he said and his voice cracked just a little. "That was cruel of me. Thoughtless. I was showing off and I used you to do it. I'm sorry." Natasha nodded. "We all have moments we're not proud of. What matters is what we do after." Richard reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out his checkbook. Michael started to speak but Richard raised a hand to stop him. With careful movements Richard wrote out a check. When he was done he held it up. $100,000. Made out to Natasha Bennett. "I made a promise," Richard said. "And you more than earned this. But I hope you'll let me do something else too. Natasha looked at the check but didn't reach for it. I don't need charity, sir. I just need to work. To take care of my mother and honor the life David and I built together. It's not charity, Richard said quietly. It's paying a debt. And keeping my word. He paused. I run a property management company. I have an office that needs someone with real intelligence and heart. Someone who speaks multiple languages and understands people. Someone who has actually lived a life beyond boardrooms and bank accounts. I'd like to offer you a position. Full-time. Benefits. Good salary. Reasonable hours so you can be with your mother. He set the check on the table. This is for tonight. For teaching me something I should have learned long ago. The job is separate. If you want it. Natasha's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. She picked up the check with trembling fingers. Why? She whispered. Why would you do this? Richard looked at Michael and then back at Natasha. Because my father was an immigrant who barely spoke English. He worked 4 jobs to give me opportunities. He cleaned offices and washed dishes and did whatever it took. I forgot that. I forgot where I came from. You reminded me. In the kindest way possible, you showed me who I'd become. And I don't like that person very much. He stood up, extended his hand. So thank you. For the lesson. And for the grace you showed me when I deserved none. Natasha shook his hand. Her grip was firm despite the tears now sliding down her cheeks. I accept, she said. Both the check and the job. And I forgive you. We all need second chances. Michael finally spoke. That was the most extraordinary thing I've ever witnessed in a business dinner. He smiled at Natasha. Your husband would be very proud of you. He always said kindness was the truest form of strength, Natasha replied. Even when someone is unkind to you, responding with grace takes more courage than responding with anger. David lived that way. I try to as well. She picked up the basket of roses. These are yours now, she said to Richard. All of them. Share them with people you care about. Or give them to strangers. Sometimes a simple flower can change someone's whole day. Richard took the basket. His hands that had signed million-dollar deals now held 20 roses with unexpected tenderness. I'll do that, he promised. And Natasha, come to my office Monday morning. We'll get everything sorted out. Insurance for your mother. Everything you need. As Natasha walked away from table 7, she felt lighter than she had in years. The check in her pocket would pay for her mother's care. The job would give her stability and dignity. But more than that, she felt hope. Hope that kindness still mattered. That one person's grace could crack open another person's heart. Richard and Michael sat in silence for a long moment. Then Richard picked up a white rose. He stood and walked to a nearby table where an elderly couple was eating quietly. He offered the rose to the woman. For you, he said simply. Because beauty should be shared. The woman's face lit up with surprise and joy. Her husband smiled. Richard moved to the next table. And the next. Giving away roses. Sharing something precious. Becoming for just a moment the man his father had hoped he'd be. From across the restaurant, Natasha watched. She thought of David and how he'd always believed that everyone carries light inside them. Sometimes that light gets buried under hurt and pride and fear. But it never goes out completely. Sometimes all it takes is one person's kindness to help someone else remember they can shine. She touched the check in her pocket. $100,000. But the real gift was something money couldn't buy. It was the reminder that we're all connected. That our actions ripple outward in ways we can't always predict. That it's never too late to change. To choose grace over cruelty. To see the dignity in every human soul. Outside the hotel windows, the city lights sparkled against the dark sky. Inside the restaurant, people laughed and talked and lived their lives. And at table 7, an empty basket sat where roses used to be. A small symbol of transformation. Of mercy given and received. Of the extraordinary power hidden in ordinary moments when we choose to be kind.